Nobody says that anymore. Hey, what's up, David? This is why we work. This is why we roll ish, but it's not the podcast. It's the stream version. What is? Yeah, who cares?
Sorry, sorry. No, no, my face isn't reacting to you. My face is reacting to drop into the Matrix still.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Enter,
yeah,
enter
I
our
entered into
fabulous
the
Matrix.
Matrix. Very like that. I don't know why that one hit me in such a way.
That's what we're here for. As usual,
It's funny. That phrase is pre 9/11.
it's old. Yeah, it's legit old. Um, yeah, there's so much good stuff to say about Cyberpunk. Some stuff's aged well, some stuff hasn't aged well. That could be part of the conversation. But to cue it up, I'm Wythe Marschall. This is not why we roll, but it's our stream that we do where we just informally hang out with game designers, work on some stuff, talk through some issues, whatever. And this is part of a series. So actually, our guest today, David Piccolomini, we're going to have back on, and we're going to do some AP. So thought we would just kick it off by checking in and hearing about some of the stuff, David, you're working on, and Don't Go Broke Games, your kind of studio is working on. And yeah, I think that'll lead into the bigger game that you're launching soonish with a bunch of people. I know it's not just you, but Road Warriors, which we're going to have a AP of, an episode of. So it's a little bit of a series, but this one is all about kind of just fun stuff you're working on. And we talked a little before getting started about a couple of things we might do today. But before we go any further, David, do you want to sort
Keeping
of
it
introduce
loose.
yourself? Yeah, tell
Yes.
everybody.
Hi, my name is David. Yeah,
Who you
no,
are.
feet are going up. We're chilling. This is
Okay.
a relaxed fit hang. Uh,
Oh, I like that.
what was it? My name is David Piccolomini. I am a comedian out of Brooklyn, New York. I have been a big nerd for a long time. There's my pile of board games in the back. Uh, Man, it is funny. Books and board games, those are the two things hardest to move. And in New York, when you move a lot, you really immediately take stock of. Yeah, you just did that. You just had that
Yeah,
move.
we just kind of had a storage unit library situation, but that means I just ended up calling it book jail because it's not like I was going to my storage unit to chill a lot. So a lot of the books were just like not free to be read.
Book jail.
Book jail.
So yeah, basically, I started designing a game, Road Warriors. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was I started LARPing when I was like 16, 17, and then like 6 months later was into Dungeons and Dragons, like basically right off the bat. Uh, as you might imagine. And so I've been playing that for a while. And this game, our game Road Warriors, came about when my friend Dan, who was a professional DM, is still a professional. He does a bunch of different things. Uh, he, I was telling him I was like stand up comedy starts to feel like casting spells because you have to say the right words in the right order with the right hand motions, or else it doesn't work.
That's
Uh,
very smart. Yeah.
and so it does this weird yeah, so we started riffing off of that, and then it just became a thing of like what are the actual skill tests and stuff, and finding all the different ways to like build that out. uh and so then we came up with Road Warriors. And the way, like, most people when they think about comedy, they think about like famous comedians. They think about like Chris Rock or like Seinfeld or these other people who are like huge. And it's like that's not what the average comedian's experience has been like. 99% of the comedians never become famous, and a lot of them drop out and like fall apart. And like so someone has to go play like Schwamberg, Illinois. And that's these guys. That's who you're playing as.
Well, we love, in general, the concept of playing, low power fantasies, and maybe even like a reverse dungeon. I was just thinking as you were saying that. So instead of
It is a little bit. It's yeah. You're trying to fix the dungeon. You go down. The dungeon is in disrepair, and you have to
yeah,
like board it back up. You have to fix the lighting in the dungeon situation.
well, and also like if you're playing in a modern game, like if you're playing a Jason Bourne esque power fantasy or like Trinity from the Matrix or whatever, right? And you are at the stand up comedy club, the stand up comedy NPCs are almost definitely in your way, or maybe at best they're like unreliable, confidential informants. And so I love the idea of like that's the reverse dungeon for the modern age. Is like no, you just are a stand up comic, and that's the
You're
RPG
yeah.
experience.
You just have a job that seems like it would be fun, and we're gonna try and make it not fun in the most fun way possible.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really great.
that's really yeah.
Yeah.
Because your stand-up comedian is going on your first tour, and then there is the thing, your health points are self-esteem, and it's just trying to break down the feeling of what that's like. And as someone who has done a decent amount of road comedy, when you go out there and you do the thing, you just like, it's like, oh, what is the feelings that you get? And that's all game design really is like, can you get people in the headspace that they're a sword fighting warrior?
Right. Right. And can you get them to have feelings about it that aren't too flat? Because, you know, I think you learn quickly, especially, you know, past a certain age, but also just I think past, regardless of age, past a certain number of times you've played these games, how fun is it to just always kill everything, you know, lop off the head of every goblin immediately. No, there's no consequences. Like, it's not that fun. And I think the friction, you know, where does the friction enter, and like, what do you have to do to like solve a puzzle, or you know, challenge yourself in order to grow, gain experience in the classic Dragon game. I mean, here, yeah, it's really funny that you've made it self-esteem and whatnot, you know, fixing the lights, trying to get chairs. I memorably remember from playing.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is, it's funny. That happens in almost every time. I don't know why, but I think it's going to just be a runner,
Canon,
and it's
yeah.
going to just be like, also there's no chairs. God damn it.
Yeah,
Every
been good.
adventure.
And I think like there's something about that as a source of tension that is very relatable, and it's a well thought out game. Having played it, I mean, just the once, it was very memorable. It was really funny. I really wanted to play it again, which is always the sign of a good game. But it did make me think.
Oh man, you
thought through every single possible thing, like you said, like the self-esteem, like every bit about it made sense together, which is again the sign of like, it wasn't just a joke that you then published. You've like thought a lot about it.
No,
right?
I get mad at joke games because a lot of joke games just mean low effort, which is so like, I know it's stupid to like care that much about, like, but it's like, it's a joke game. It doesn't matter. It's like when people, but it's like, it's the same attitude board game designers have to TTRPGs, where like I was like, all right, I want this to mechanically work and have to motivate action. So like, who cares? It's a TTRPG. Just narratively explain it away if it doesn't work. And it's like, no, it needs to fit the function.
I think that's again kind of like the emotion thing. It's like, how do you craft these moments where people will have real emotions? It might sound easy to do, or it might sound unimportant. I don't know to whom, but I think if you again play a lot of RPGs, certainly if you design RPGs, that is the whole game. To your point, it is like, what emotion am I creating when I make this set of rules? You know,
the moment I knew we had a game, like in a weird way, is when I had 2 comedians and 2 non-comedians playing it, and the two at the same time they bombed the gig. The gig did not go well. They bombed everybody, and then the 2 I was like, well, you guys bombed, and 1 comedian and 1 non-comedian turned and at the same time went, no, I killed. It was like, well, also you have to stop muting yourself while you're laughing.
Well, we, you know, for clean audio, where we ever do the podcast, it just, you know, blows up. It is funny.
Sorry.
We can add a fake laugh track. Maybe that'll be.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I could see it. No, I realize it's going to be playing when I like in the actual audio.
It's all good. Yeah, no, I think, it is. So back to that emotion thing. It is hard to create humor directly, I think, in games. It's easy to have it indirectly, because people are
every game is funny.
Yeah, making weird fart jokes, or like they name their character. What did Tony named a character in real medieval England, like something like Marcus but Carcass or something. We all just died laughing. You know, it's the stupidest name, but you're like, okay, Marcus of
MBK. He's one of my favorite guys.
And I think that's just so built in that then it's almost hard. It's almost because it's so close. It's like, oh yeah, well, everyone's already cracking wise all the time. How hard could it be? And then I think it's really hard actually as a GM. Maybe I'm just bad at it, but to have genuine moments of humor that are planned and not unplanned silliness. I think it's easier to some degree to do like drama, you know, like to make things dire in a way that still feels earned, and you know, there's a skill there too. But you guys have really thought about how to make moments for humor without asking anyone to write a joke. So we'll come back to this like in the actual play and stuff, but I think that was really smart, right? Is like, you're not told to write a joke.
It was really important for us because we designed the game. So we designed the game like a horror game. That is like what it is. We've designed it to be like an evil game where you can't die, because that's what it feels like to be a stand-up comedian a lot of times, is like the stakes are actually so low. The worst case scenario is you move back home with your parents. Like, but like it feels so important. And if you're just constantly taking hits, it feels like you're giving stuff to this thing. And then that gives it the meaning where then it becomes you're like the desperation and how seriously you take it makes the comedy show up. Like stand-up comedy, people have a weird feeling about it where it's like, oh, it's just about being funny. It's like, no, everybody's kind of funny in America at this point. We're all like, humor is a cultural value. What comedy is really about doing is about taking and creating the context for why you're funny.
Yeah, creating context and like creating moments where people will fail in funny ways or succeed in funny ways, which again is not obvious. Like I don't know how I would do that. Now that I've seen some of how you do it, I'm like, okay, it is possible. But it's just
always
like
Sunny
not a
rules.
typical RPG thing. So you guys had to, I guess, like
No.
stuff figured out. Yeah.
Well, Dan describes it as one of my co-designers, Dan Metz describes it as it's always sunny funny, where they're bad people. So if they succeed, it's funny because they did it in a weird, evil way. But if they fail, it's hilarious because they got what they deserve. And that's like, of course that didn't work. That's the dumbest fight I've ever heard of. And then you can have someone like die. Like we had a character in the epilogue of our last game die, and the audience we were playing in front of clapped. They were just like, yes, this is how this guy goes out.
Deserved. So this game we will talk more about.
We'll get to see it in action.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about a couple things. One was talking about some other game design because we're always working on other stuff. I know you have a million ideas. So we're gonna focus on Road Warriors for doing the AP, doing the interview, give people more of a sense of what that play experience is like.
Do you want to make a character in Road Warriors and then we'll do we'll get into because I have some ideas for your grid system.
Yeah, exactly. And so that sounds good. So let's talk about, a little more about Road Warriors and specifically going into character design because we're not going to have time to probably do all that on screen anyway in the AP.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about sort of game design in general and maybe watch you do some of it or whatever. You and I can kind of chat.
Yeah, well, I would love it because honestly, that's the thing is like I've played a little bit of grit stuff, but I haven't played a lot. So I have some ideas on like ways I want to like function like three things together into my Frankenstein monster of getting PvP into TTRPGs.
Yeah, which we love. So let's do it. First things first, though. Let's make a character.
So here's my handy dandy. This is because we call it solving the Mitch Hedberg problem. If you get 5 people in a room and tell them to make a character, 3 of them will just make Mitch Hedberg.
Wait. Sorry, you're gonna have to unpack that one. I don't follow why 3 people would make Mitch Hedberg.
Because if you tell people to make a comedian, they just go, oh, well, who's funny and who would be funny to be?
Sorry, make a comedian. Got it. Sorry, I immediately went back to default like OSR dungeon crawl games. And I just pictured like, the temple of evil or whatever, and it's just Mitch Hedberg like smoking a joint. And it's
I hate when my create escalator spell is broken.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. So make a comedian, and you're finding that many players, I'm guessing in our milieu, like roughly.
Yeah, no, that would be so funny if just
the Northeast are like just Mitch Hedberg build. Got it. Okay.
Just Mitch Hedberg build. Everybody. It's, even though he's a guy that everybody has a basic impression of. That
right. Everybody can do the impression.
Yeah. And it doesn't. It's not a scary impression like trying to like be an introvert doing like a Seinfeld.
Right. Or it's like I'm trying to think of what the previous generation would have been. Who was the sort of Russian accented comic who did a lot of jokes about
oh yeah. In Soviet Russia.
Yeah. That would have been the previous,
I can't think of his name all of a sudden.
Not a
he lives in like Alabama. He has like a Yakov Smirnoff. He has a theater in like Alabama or Missouri. It's one of those. He has like a theater that oh my God, doing it. Sorry, just a Road Warriors adventure at the Yakov Smirnoff Theater. As like a weird Tomb of Horrors or Curse of Strahd style.
Yeah, completely. All right, well, why don't you talk us through?
Yeah, let's roll.
So
this is our handy dandy. We have made a level 0 funnel game. We're not going to play that. This is the only time if you want to tell jokes in our game, the optional level 0 funnel is how you tell jokes. So we're going to skip the actual building of the character. So every comedian starts as an open micer who is a day job, who does a comedy style, who is deeply traumatized by something.
Right, of course, as one is.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to roll? Go ahead and roll for these.
Yeah. So we'll both roll for these
Okay,
because I also haven't made a character yet either.
sounds good. And remind me, am I rolling 2d6 for them? I'm looking at this
So
table.
you roll 2d6. Yeah, 2d6. The first die chooses like an overall category, and the second die gives you the specific. This was a way for me to organize my thoughts, like the
Okay.
not an adult, white collar, just
And
to
I'm
give a
going
vibe.
down the 3 columns essentially. Okay.
Yes,
Got it.
or the it should be 2 sets of yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got 1-4.
Oh, this is terrible.
What'd you get?
Well, for my office, I got white collar and specifically the office funny guy, which I do.
Oh,
feel
hell
like is-
yeah.
I having worked in a white collar office, I do not. I was not the office funny guy. I did not.
You were
try
not
to
the
be-
office funny guy. No, I feel
No.
like you have a lot more strongly written opinions.
I was office reading Foucault in the corner, not wanting to be at the company guy, not trying to entertain everyone. But I know the type. I know the type. Okay, let me do comedy star.
I got retiree. I got
Oh,
retiree.
I love retire. I like that. That's not an adult, by the way. Not an adult is like nepo baby writer in quotation marks. Very funny.
Yeah, just people who haven't like it could also be artist.
Yeah, retiree / like not currently doing adult job. Like about labor. This is really about labor. It's all politics all the way down. Oh shit!
4-4. What'd you get?
Snake Eyes, theater kid, the worst possible.
Oh my god. You're Ed Helms from The Office.
Oh yes, yeah. This is definitely.
Oh no. Oh. I got 4-4, which is a diva cabaret act. Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Oh
Crowd
no,
work.
my character came out late in life.
All right, so now we're rolling for trauma. So we just did
Yeah.
day job and comedy style. This is trauma, which is the third aspect of character creation. 2 and a 5.
6-1.
Divorce. Oh man, all divorce. Yours or your parents? Definitely yours. Divorce, yours.
I think this guy's giving off heavy divorced energy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, Wythe, you're okay. And so and I got 6-1, which is a religious trauma. So my retiree. Oh, here's the thing: is he's an ex priest who now has come out. He's retired from the priesthood.
Hell yeah.
And he's decided he's done with all his religious trauma, and now he does a weird cabaret act where he plays both Jesus and the devil over it.
Oh, maybe like even half the yeah.
Oh no, that God, it's weird how many times the half has come up in this shit in our game.
I feel like that's yeah, maybe that is me remembering something someone else. I did my character not do that, but maybe somebody had a funny bit.
And then now we actually have to turn it into a character.
Right.
This is
we also have,
the
like,
concept,
playbooks, right? So this is. Do you want
Yes.
to go into that, or yeah? You're in
So
charge.
basically, yeah. So the way I'm the boss.
Obvious.
The way it works. The way it works is that's just like a basic like 1-line summary, and then to make it like a level 1 character, we have playbooks that you can pick, and the 6 playbooks are bully, influencer, loser, philosopher, scumbag, and weirdo. Yeah, because those are so it's the thing is people when they think about the game, they think like, should it be like I'm going to be a one-liner guy or something, and it's like you can be a one-liner guy, but one-liner guys are a variety of different people.
Mhm.
Like in their like space, like you could be like a one-liner guy who's a bully like Anthony Jeselnik, or you could be a one-liner weirder like Mitch Hedberg, or like a one-liner loser like Rodney Dangerfield.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, one day, I mean, this is a whole other thing of like, you should do a blog post where you sort of have like just lots and lots of examples, and maybe that's in the book. Maybe that's for.
Oh no, we're definitely that's going to be a YouTube series where we just go through like different TV shows and rank the comedians by what they like what their class playbooks would be and everything. I think the Taskmaster groups are really good for that.
Yeah, the Taskmaster. That's probably my most immediate. Like those. That's the comedy I have watched the most in the since COVID probably. Also,
Oh yeah, we play that game now where we'll watch a season of Taskmaster and just like be like, who's that? What are they? Which one are they?
like what Forged in the Dark adjacent power that I wrote is this person using now? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
oh, actually,
exactly, one
I'm gonna
hundred
roll a
percent.
d6 because there's 6, right? So I'm just gonna roll a d6.
Okay, I mean, listen, your character's the office funny guy. I think he's like a loser, probably, or maybe he's a bully.
But you know, it's
You
playing
want to
it
see where he
safe, right?
goes.
Like I
You
don't
want to see
want
where
to
he
be the
goes.
bully, but I'm gonna okay, it's a 5. So I'm gonna be, what is the
It's a 5.
class? So not a weirdo.
Is that scumbag?
Scumbag. Okay, yeah, I love that. That makes
Yeah,
more
great,
sense.
incredible. That's a great office. Oh, and philosopher. I don't know if I said philosopher. Okay, so you'll be a scumbag as your play type,
100%. Yeah.
which is yeah, you're Ed Helms from The Office. Mommy and Daddy got divorced, and he's never been the same. It's the worst pain anyone's ever been through.
Yeah, it's enough to destroy the entire universe, Neon Genesis Evangelion style, out of your feelings. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Honestly,
have
I kind of like this method. I'm gonna roll 2
you
for
have
my
a nice
retiree
list
diva.
here.
6 weirdo. Perfect.
Weirdo. Perfect. Yeah, that fits, right. But
That
you have some
fits.
good ones. So for people, you know, if you weren't as familiar, like what I'm talking about here, you know, you have like Roaster, Dirty Cabaret Act, Pranks, Bad Husband with a Gross Family, Sex Gremlin, Shock Jock, Apostate, Filthy Poet, Confessional / Criminal, Silly Pothead, Filth Peddler, Ironic Bad Thoughts Haver, Actual Bad Thoughts Haver, and Carlin's 7 Dirty Words as their Bible. Which I think is a very
Yeah,
funny,
like
just like, what are ways you could interpret scumbag is how I take
well,
that.
like the thing is, any comedian that's super famous is a couple of these.
Okay, this is like you pick like tags, right? Like pick 2 tags as like your
Well,
way.
like
of being
if you're
a scumbag.
like Tony Hinchcliffe is a scumbag and an influencer. Uh, you know, like he sucks, but like that is the like space of you know what I mean. You could
Yeah,
find
yeah,
like the like, but like Patton Oswalt is doing a couple different. Patton Oswalt, you know, is a loser half the time, but he's also kind of being a philosopher.
yeah. Not a
A lot
scumbag,
of
I would think, but yeah, yeah.
no, I don't think so either. But like that's the thing is like most of so these are level 1 comedians. These are
Right,
comedians, you know, have been
right.
doing comedy for 7 years. They go on the road a little bit, and this guy works an office job. He's kind of mostly a scumbag, but he's figured out a way to finagle time off to go
Right,
do
right, right.
this little tour.
They have day jobs, right? No, I get that. Do you want to walk us
Not
through? All right, so
always.
what next would we pick? Because there's
Oh
skills,
yeah, yeah.
there's material,
Okay,
there's
so this
there's
is yeah,
more.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is there's only the right now we don't have we only have the basic abilities. We're gonna have more abilities, you know, in the bigger book. But right now everybody just gets one ability. So
Okay.
you get an on-stage ability and an off-stage ability. So you don't get to customize any of that. So the only things we really have you do is you get 5 skill points that you have to put in your abilities that will give you your joke rolls and your mundane saves. Now, joke rolls are the main rolls you'll use to, it's a dice pool system. So any points you put in that will be, you know, you get to pick 1 or 2 points in any of the pools that you put skills into.
Right,
1
right.
point per, and then mundane saves are based on amount you put in vertically. So like if you put 1 point in any skill, so like overall, if you want your charm save to be high, you would put a point in embellish and commiserate. I should read out what the skills are. So basically what we did is we took all the joke skills from every other, or we took all the one charm skill, and we blew it out into 6 skills in like all the ways that comedians make jokes. So they can either surprise or reason, which we consider intellect style jokes, charm style jokes, which are smoozing and commiserating. Because if you're not charming while you commiserate, it's actually just really sad. And grit style jokes, which are punishing or embellishing, which are how much like can you take in this. So like the scumbag has to either put 2 points in schmooze or embellish. Now you can do 1 and 1, but 2 of the points are reserved for schmooze and embellish, and then they have 5 points total to put. The other 3 can go anywhere.
Got
And
it. And
then
they go
if
into
you
those specific skills, right? Surprise, reason, schmooze, commiserate, punish, and embellish. They don't go
yes,
into the
so if you
overall.
do if you do a point in schmooze and a point in commiserate, though, you have 2 points and a charm save, which is basically anything that isn't trying to make people like you with your words or other funny things. If you're not trying to make someone laugh, like if you just decide, fuck it, we'll set up the chairs, you can make a mundane save that you roll against 6 minus whatever you roll, and you take that much self-esteem damage. As like, you're just putting chairs down. It shouldn't be a big deal. And then you trip and you hurt your ankle and you're like, fuck, I shouldn't be doing this in the first place. I'm a star.
Right. All right, so I get 5, and I have to put 2 into one of the asterisk class.
Yeah, you can do 1 and 1. It just 2 points have to go total.
Oh, got it.
Skills.
Got it. Yeah.
Or you could do 4 points in there. It just at least has to be 2.
Okay. I may come back to that. I may refresh myself on the uses of the skills and the mechanics. Did you want to say?
I mean, the skills are fairly, I will say, like they're mostly role playing.
Yeah.
Oriented.
But essentially,
and then
as I recall, a lot of it is getting dice pools, right? You're trying to get bigger and bigger dice pools when you do your material, which again is not, you're not writing the jokes, you're describing the scene.
You're describing the jokes.
Influencing segments, like kinds of people in the audience, which the GM sort of sets up who's there that night.
So it's 2 parts.
The gig beforehand, so it's a kind of fun, like you're setting the environment. The GM is obviously arbitrating that, but a lot of it is on you to kind of like figure out who's going to be there and what kind of shit they want to hear, and like are they comfortable, and then like target them in certain ways with kinds of jokes.
So we've that's a part I think some of that was in there at that point. We had gotten past, we had originally just had a big table that had the crowd, and like it was just like a big square that you would move slowly in like diagonal directions over the board, and now we've moved it, it's like a hydra.
Say more about hydras in combat. Yeah.
So you play as Captain America. There are 3 tables full of Hydra agents. You have to do jokes about it to figure out which members of the Hydra agents in disguise and which members are agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But so you play, basically they're different groups that you met over the game, and they're in the audience. They have things that they like and dislike, like different types of jokes that they like or dislike, different levels of severity. So like if you do like a pretty audacious joke, they might not like it. But if you do a safe joke, they might like it. You get bonus, and then you have to win over those tables to affect the group audience clock, which then, depending on how many of the large groups you've won over, you can hit the main audience for more successes. So it basically has like damage reduction based on the crowd not liking you or not trusting you.
Can I ask, is that coming from your experience in stand-up and in performance in general, of if you can win over like that table or these 2 tables, then you get the whole audience more on side over time? Like, is that a thing, or is that just trying to break it down into chunks to manage?
It's kind of, it's what it's trying to do is it's simplifying it a little bit, but what comedians are constantly doing is watching the crowd to see what works and what doesn't. And we wanted to have that simulation in there because especially while you're doing that part of combat, it's one person on stage for 3 rounds and everybody's just watching. They're like, they have an audience action or whatever, but they're just watching this. So if they have something else to pay attention to also, which is a thing I do, like when someone else is on stage, I'm watching what they're reacting to, because if they get weird around dirty material, I need to know that, so that when I go on stage, I can be like, and listen, I don't give a shit about this. We're fucking doing this. And I can like jump on. But that's like my version of dealing with that. But some people will be like, okay, cool. We're going to stick more to this stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's
like an analogy, but it is related to this art of kind of who's out there, right? If you're like the
and it's the thing is, if I win over 2 groups of 10 people in the crowd, that's 20 people laughing, and as long as other people like the joke at all, it's going to sound pretty full at that point. Like, you know what I mean, in a 70-person room even.
Well, laughter is contagious too, right? 20 people laughing near you, I mean, you much more, especially in person as opposed to like watching it on a phone or a TV, like you're much more likely to laugh. So yeah, again, it's a cool system. It actually works. Please,
you can see it. You'll see it next week.
Yeah.
And so the last thing in character creation is just picking an A material, but like once again, you could kind of even do that off of, because once again, that's a role play prompt. So your A material is basically, you get 3 bursts of an ability that you use to like, it's either like one-liners or crowd work or observational. storytelling, offensive, or what's the last one? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Is
Act
there a
outs.
list in here that I can find? Because I
Yes.
can do this off camera. But
Yeah. There's a list
see.
in here you can find.
Act
And basically,
out
these are
crowd
just narrative prompts that give you. So you just have to decide. Like observational is really easy, where you basically, if you wanna, you have to compare two things or make an observation and be like, what's the deal with these chairs? They're not in the venue we need them to be at.
Yeah, it's the kind of joke you're gonna do is the A material, and it gives you that extra die. You can only do it 3. So it's sort of during the show, when do you really go back to like the tried and true jokes, right? That's the idea, the stuff that's killed in the past that you.
Well, it's using the types of material that you're like, this is my A material. This is the stuff that really works. Yeah, exactly. Cool. It is funny. My friends use this game to bully me with like, they're like, oh, look, he's going back to the offensive A material.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, it's very meta. Like once you're doing a game about comedy or about anything vaguely like real life, then it's like, you're like, wait a minute, is it me? Am I the whatever insert thing that I just made up in the game?
It's been really therapeutic, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's just venting for some of me. I'm like, yeah, of course this sucks. This sucks. This sucks.
Yeah, it lets you like take a really removed position from the rest of comedy, and now it's not about you, right? It's just like in general, who's out there, who be out there doing the jokes. I don't know if you've made a character sheet for yourself as a comedian, like diegetically, but in real life, if that makes sense.
I've definitely done that at a point, and no, but it's the thing. It's like, I'm like, I could be several of these. They're like scumbag. You're the scumbag. Go be the scumbag.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was like, just because I tell jokes that are offensive does not.
That's very funny. Yeah. Well, that's great. So
let's do game design. We have a basic,
right? So I gotta think of.
Yeah,
if I'm gonna play this asshole, I gotta make a name. I gotta kind of refine, but I'll keep.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing is like, we just did the basic idea of like what the character could be, and I already am upset with who this guy is that I'm gonna have to deal with.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a character creation process that makes you mad. No, it was really funny. When I rolled a random character before, I just decided the in my head the way I interpreted it was like basically Natasha Lyonne, from like Russian Dolls, but like just like more fucked up, and that was very fun, and it was very quick to just get into it. So I think this will be the same. I just need to like pick not Ed Helms from The Office, but something adjacent to these terms that I can like inhabit, and then
I think there's a really he plays super friendly, but it turns out he's actually out for one guy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is.
Oh, if you do acapella.
I'm not going to do acapella. This is just one part of the game, and we will play more of it. But I think it's fun to kind of work through this stuff. And I will say, looking at the Ashcan, which thanks for giving me a little sneak preview. It is interesting just to ask you like where you're at in the process. And I know we'll go more into depth, but just really quickly, like, will people be able to get an Ashcan of the game soon on the Don't Go Broke Games itch, so other folks can kind of take a look and make characters? And begin.
That'll be June. We're hoping to have if you are a game designer and you would like the no frills version, that is going to be available like within the week. And then by the end of the month, we will have one with like some pictures and some things for free RPG day is our goal. Also, at that point, the Level 0 Character Creator Open Mic Madness as a game will be available on itch at that point too.
Excellent news. And yeah, I think
you can also sign up for our email list where we'll send it to you if you'd like that on our itch. Sorry, last thing.
Yeah. I don't know if we said it on air, but you guys are going to be going live as part of the Game Found
RPG Day. Oh yes, yeah, Game Found, yes.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a fun thing that again you'll get some marketing from that, and we'll talk about it on air. But yeah, so there is actually a plan for this game to.
This game is coming out. It is on the things. Will be available in the future. I'm very excited about, but also it's one of those things where I've been like pushing and being like, we're so close, and you can just keep feeling that like.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's still months away, but I mean it is close in terms of like this year. So it's a weird like when do I get excited? And even when it goes live, like 2 hours later, it's like okay, well, there's other shit I gotta do,
Now,
but
wait, I have to post this every day?
yeah,
Ugh, what?
yeah. So that's a whole, again, we can talk about that now if you want, but I know
No,
you
no,
have
let's.
some game design ideas, so I'm just selfishly always like, let's talk game design, but we can definitely
No,
talk
I want to
business.
talk game design.
Um,
I have so many, like, that's the thing is, so part of this, part of the other thing for this project was I did this thing called Skill Builder where I taught myself a bunch of different skills at the same time. Game design was something I was doing concurrently with it, and then I just folded it into it. And one of the things I was doing was just writing a bunch of smaller games to like help teach myself game design better. And like so like it's one of my favorite like it's just storytelling with mechanics to make it better stories.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty. I mean, it's pretty cool. In my opinion, for the same reasons, right? I love writing fiction. I love reading fiction, watching movies, but to some degree, I think a lot of that is solo. Like even if you're watching a movie with other people, you're all mostly shutted the fuck up. Like maybe if you're at home, it's a little different, but you're mostly like in that cinematic dream time in a solo vision quest. And I think with
Having a
RPGs,
director's
like
vision.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You're inhabiting someone else's mind. With RPGs, you're doing a little of that in your own head, but you're also constantly kind of jumping into the minds of others, and I find that really really pleasurable. And as I get older, it's like the primary form of storytelling that really really gets me going emotionally. Not that I don't still love books and movies, but it's just it's got that distance. It's sort of a finished thing. So
Books and movies are dead to me now. TTRPGs are my friends.
well, just that they're literally done when you engage with them. Usually, I mean, I guess I could think of some weird like I don't know. I'm sure there's some counterexample someone can point out, but
uh okay, so yeah, this was a game I wanted. So you have the Grit Jam
we do.
right going on right now.
We do. It is the Grid
It's
System Game Jam. It's the first one we're doing all summer long, so folks should check it out if you like designing games. Yeah, kind of our
So
thing.
this is me. I was working on something, and part of it wasn't not going, but like I just couldn't quite figure out like some of the stuff from the Agon system, which is a system. Also, Deathmatch Island uses the same system where it's you play as heroes with like heroic names and like deeds attached to those names, and like in Agon, when you're like Greek warriors, it makes a lot of sense. But like when I was playing Deathmatch Island, I kept running into the problem of like you're never like I am Stan, the arbitrator at law firm CEO. Shoot, 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 shoot. You know what I mean? Like like Steve the soldier. Like it felt very weird. So one of the things I realized I liked a lot of the combining, like two dice combining from that and building those, but then using more stat based stuff like yours, and then using some of the grit things, uh, the grit buying system, like using yours as kind of the overall framing to put this engine around, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's, and
Uh,
I think this is stuff I'd love to see more of because I don't think that all games need to be, one system. But I definitely think ours does work for a lot of the core resolving. I mean, you kind of know why you're rolling the die, and you know what die you're rolling, you know why, and then Burning Grit lets you change the roll. But of course, you only have so much grit, so that introduces a whole economy, which can be very very simple. So some simple D&D clone version
so
you would have like basic medicine and that's kind of it, but you could also imagine much more complicated versions where like grit comes and goes for all kinds of reasons. So it's sort of it's really these two simple tools, right? The scores is die and the grit that then let you do a lot of other things. And I think we already found like with literally the second game we published, Blister Critters, Tony was adding dice, so it wasn't just one die, because if you have a human made thing and you're a little animal, that thing is just way better. So it adds to your roll, and that was an interesting aha moment of like, whoa, you're rolling two dice and doing simple addition. So it's interesting how you go all the way down towards sort of rules lightness, and then you like build back up. And yeah, I'm
yeah,
just not as
well,
familiar. I loved reading Deathmatch Island. I've just never played it. I do actually want to play that game. But
it's
I'm
fun.
curious to hear your sort of impression of the system. Yeah.
So one of the things I really liked from Deathmatch Island and the Agon system in general is narratively the way stories are told is from the highest die, or the lowest die to the highest die. So it always starts with the lowest dice and slowly goes up to the highest die from people winning in a contest. So all things are resolved in one round, where basically it's like it's a, I think they call it like a one roll system or something like that, where it's like, so everybody's trying to do this one contest. You all roll, and whoever does it the best gets to narrate the final part, because they're going to have the best result of it. So it just slowly works up, and I really like that concept within the idea of doing that for. So the game I want to make is called Boom Boom Shoot Up the Room, and it's a Carnival of Killers style game. Like, have you ever seen Aces Loaded, or like any of those, like Free Fire, any of those movies where it's like, just kidding, there's a bunch of like the later John Wick movies where it's like more like assassins, and like, then like it's just, him killing like an army of faceless thugs.
Yeah, there's like types of assassins, but they all work for, John Wick has, I think, taken this to its logical Rococo extreme, right? Of like, most of the world is employed in shooting each other while wearing tuxedos, but it is like the John Woo movies are great. Those are good examples, because they often do feel earned, and I think a lot of the sillier earlier Yakuza, like Mika Takashi movies, do have that element too, of like teams of hitmen, but they have these weird, like, they always are such interesting characters, and their jobs are,
they always have themes.
Yeah, they have themes. So you kind of like, you want to root for them even though they're like bad guys. I mean, it's a classic. It's like the Western, right? You want to root for the man with no name just because he looks cool or whatever.
Exactly. So I've been playing around with like, it's like you've all been hired by this shady company, and then instead of using like traditional stats, I was thinking verbs are going to be a better use of it. So it's like shoot, move, like hide, talk, explode, or something like that. Like, so it's like, and those are your stats.
Right.
So it's like, my character's great, and assigning the dice. And then, so you assign the dice, and then you combine either combine two stats together, or I like the idea of combining two together a lot of times as you do stuff. Or you always exhaust the last one you used. And so it ends up being a thing where, as people are rolling, you get into this space where they have, like, it allows for contested rolls. It allows for people to be fighting with each other in the same space, because it's like, and depending on how it goes, either you start, if there's a success in the group, overall it will be, you narrate from lowest to highest. But if nobody succeeds, it starts from highest to lowest, as everybody just fucks up and fails.
Okay.
Oh.
I think I can imagine.
Sorry, I realized there's one piece I missed from that that I forgot to include. There's a set roll. That was the other thing I liked from kind of taking from Grit, is there's a set roll of like whatever the danger of the area you're in is, like a 6 or something. So everything you're trying to do is you have to be over the 6.
Right.
And then
you could have different. I mean, if your game, maybe it's interesting to think of it location wise, where like locations have difficulties in general that go up and down. Like,
and I was thinking, this is. Yeah, exactly. And you could start it anywhere. It's like, depending on how you want to start. If you want to start it at the extreme, it's like you're already in the middle of a shootout. It's a 9, and now every roll you roll 2 dice, and it has to beat the 9 to do like. And then this is also the thing I was thinking with Grit, because I want this to be very swingy and silly in that way. Like, you never know, like luck can change in an instant. Instead of using Grit for straight stat bonuses, you spend it on extra D4s you add to it, or for 3 points, or for 10, you can add a D20.
Yeah, no, it's more, there are more steps there, but again, if it's meant to be the kind of, it's interesting if you try to merge, like, because in our games we usually do this sort of round system of the classic dragon game of like people go in order and do things on their turn, but in Agon, I take it you're just all throwing down the dice, and then depending on who's resolving, you might narrate kind of outcomes a little bit differently. Maybe people are all sort of throwing in, but someone has generally kind of one person is one, so however many players there are, somebody's like, okay, this is kind of what happens next. which is
Or
a little more
depending on the
interesting
objectives you're
Fiasco.
doing, everybody. It's the way I was thinking about it is everybody declares their objective. Like if so, we all run into the room. I'm like a gator hunter from the swamps, and like they're like I don't know, like weird white supremacists, like inbred hicks over on the other side with like bombs and stuff. And I decide I'm like fuck those guys. I shoot them with a harpoon, and they're like we throw an explosive at another guy, and the other person goes well I want to dodge all that and like hide. And you would just all roll, and however it resolved would be the turn order.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, regardless, I think it makes sense. My only worry with like adding dice as opposed to the straight like burning grit to add to the roll is it just is like one more step, and does it add lots of fun? I mean, the D20 one, I will say like immediately like that sounds kind of fun because who doesn't want to roll a
Like,
giant math rock and see did I get a plus 19?
well, it's like if someone rolls a D, like if someone like I'm going up against someone and they have a D10 and a D12 in their two slots that they're rolling. It's like, and I like, it's like, and I've exhausted my 12, so I have like a 10 and an 8 that I can use right now. And then it's like, okay, and then it's like, well, let's bet big. And it's like on one hand, I roll a 20 and this is the best day ever, or I roll a 1 and it's like, well, I just spent all this to really just get like my gun to jam and fall apart.
No, I love that. I mean, it also makes me think of like the limit break kind of concept or ultimate. It feels like that ultimate form. It's very anime coded, which is adjacent to the sort of interesting group of mobsters genre, subgenre, or whatever the John Wick.
Yeah.
So I think because it's interesting how those movies. I mean, John Wick really does this to an insane degree, which I think only works because Keanu's likable. I mean, he mentions the dog a lot. Like otherwise, it really doesn't even make sense. It's like people are shooting so constantly, it's so deadly that where do you go from there, right? It's very flat stakes, and it takes a lot for the viewer to be like, okay, I guess there's stakes somehow. And I do think like it's interesting in a system like that where to your point, you want it to be swingy, you want it to feel big, and honestly, getting shot with a gun, like Stillfleet doesn't model that well on purpose because it's kind of far future space marine power fantasy that's more about political decisions and encountering aliens. So like you're not supposed to die from one hit of a gun, which in real life often is a thing. So I think if you wanted to make a game feel really deadly, yeah, I mean you could throw in D20s and all that stuff and have like kind of limit break like okay, I really want to fucking kill this one guy even if I lose the overall contest or whatever. So
Yeah, or just it's like, okay, great. This is I think I'm gonna lose this match unless I go for it. And then it creates that kind of these are people who are gambling with their lives all the time anyway. That's the whole like hitman aesthetic.
Right. Can I ask, are you imagining this? Because Deathmatch Island, which I know a little more than Agon, the book, but both are, heroes, same system, but Deathmatch Island is like a Squid Game scenario. Or like a villain from a James Bond movie. It's PvP on an island and you're trying to win. Is your game going to be that sort of constrained as a death game, or is it going to be more open-ended? Like there's different mobs that have different desires. They're not always shooting at each other. They might be, charming one another.
So
whatever.
In that framework, I think the thing we were trying to figure we're working with now is there's going to be a main objective. That's the third influence of this is Havoc Brigade, the Grant Howitt orc game. But like is having like the objective in the middle of like this. That's what the 6 or whatever is trying to be or whatever it is. Like there will be like so objective, like you're trying to kill John Wick. So it's like you're all fighting each other while trying to complete the objective. Or you're trying to steal the suitcase with cash. You're trying to like, here's the objective. Or you might have different objectives in the same spot.
Right. There's different clocks. So I ran Eat the Reich, and that game is very much built on this. There's kind of clocks, and some are harder, some are easier, but they're basically numbers that you can chip away at. But because you're fighting Nazi werewolves and you're the resistance vampires, it's like you have to decide kind of where to put your dice. I did find conceptually it makes sense. It might have just been that book. It was so cartoonish. It was a little clunky dice wise to find again the stakes. It felt like players couldn't die. They couldn't really lose. It just felt a little flat.
No, that one's a power fantasy. I've heard that's like an unbridled power fantasy.
Which I get why you would write it that way politically, obviously. But I do think it would be interesting to see how this could work with objectives that aren't necessarily about violence and death. That's kind of what you kind of answered my question a bit, because I'm thinking like if all you're ever doing is shooting at each other, again, to me, beyond like the politics of that, it feels very flat. Whereas I think if you're doing
Right.
things like heists, right, you're setting up different scenarios, and then the objectives can still be represented by a number, a target, and that people are all trying to hit, and then whoever does best narrates what happens or whatever. So that it's interesting. It's an interesting way to kind of
That
think
actually
through. Yeah.
that might be a thing of like giving advantage to certain types of roles, like depending on what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to like talk someone down, that's like you have advantage on someone you haven't attacked yet or something. Or like but like it basically stealth or moving might have advantage on the objective roles versus if you're trying to like go after someone. You know what I mean? Like
Well, a lot of that. So we
although I guess
represent that as like it. You know, a lot of those are class powers, which are just passive powers, which in the future they're all just going to be called talents. So like a talent just gives you advantage on a specific check. So like a talent to sneak is a kind of movement. So you're rolling your movement die, but it's not.
oh yeah, I guess that would just be an additional. Yeah, that would just be like a talent.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, and again, you could do it other ways. That's just I will say, because they're so useful. I find as a designer, they're really good ways to kind of reward players with something interesting, even like an item. Right, you get this item, it gives you advantage for the next scene on a couple kinds of rolls. Feels like a big win, but as a GM, it's like yeah, whatever, have fun. And I think that's they're also just faster, right? It's a bullet point, you know, as opposed to introducing a whole new mechanic. So not at all to discourage you from new mechanics.
No, but that's this is we're talking. This is
Yeah.
what we're talking out. This is literally the whole idea.
That's the whole thing. This is why we work.
Yeah. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
The title in the show.
All these Star
But yeah,
Wars. Yeah, no. So you have something kind of inspired by Agon and Grid, or like rethinking it through the lens of the basic scores, and then making the scores kind of these wacky, over the top, like mobster hitman type
yeah,
names.
with just kind of the idea of like I really liked the like some of the Aegon resolving stuff just didn't feel right for like I want this should be a very tight game in terms of action economy. Like if that makes sense for like what I'm trying to like you're all guys in a place doing kind of this thing. So I don't need to like necessarily to know you're intelligent. I need to know you're fast at talking. You know what I mean? Like you're quick. Like it's just like what are the like I think verbs are better motivators for this kind of space where I want people to not like kind of be in their head about it as much. You want to get to the gut, like I run.
Right.
As opposed to I use my speed to get around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I try to write all the power, all the scores, and then the checks are all supposed to be verbs, where it's like, yeah, just as you said, it's like person does that thing, and then the checks are sub things of the scores, but they're you
Yeah,
say I run, that's a check under movement, or like I sneak, that's
yes,
a check under movement. I dodge. Those are all movement checks. You could treat them all differently, or if you're just using a very basic, like you're just rolling that die every time, you're still just rolling that die.
Right. And well, that's because there's less like this is most of the stuff that we're trying to do is in media res with this game specifically. It's like there's not a lot of backstory build up or anything.
Yeah, maybe you discover that in moments of like
maybe that's a fun.
I like that kind of
that's how you get
increasingly of like you're in the middle of the adventure, but then there are things that prompt you for some reason, powers, encounters, whatever, to just like answer a question, like why blank.
Yeah, that might be maybe that's how you spend grit is like through personal like you talk about like what scars you have already like from like mental, emotional, physical things, pain that's allowed you to like put through the extra effort right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what is the resource, the emotional resource?
Why do you have so much grit?
Right, which is always abstracted in our game. I mean, I like that because it is a problem of like, and again we've tried like over time I've changed in this. Like PICARO has wounds instead of health. You have far fewer wounds. You never gain wounds, but you do gain grit still as you gain levels to abstractly represent becoming a grizzled professional thief who can kind of put up with a lot. But I mean, there isn't a story game component as written in the zine version by Plus One Experience, available for sale now, that says anything like reflect on blah blah blah, right? I mean, there are in the kind of in the playbooks when you choose a character, but after that, it's just like, yeah, man, you survived, you stole something, good job. So I like
Yeah,
that idea
no,
of
this
like
is
doing things makes you answer a question. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you did
like
it.
spending
Now
through
tell me
you
how.
roll on the
Yeah.
grit chart, and you have to answer. You roll on the grid chart. You have to answer a question of like what how the pain like allowed like what the pain was or something like.
Johnny Cash rules. Yeah, you have to write a country song about it, basically.
Well, but like a lot of those movies do have that moment where it's
Yeah,
like, you
yeah,
wanna know how I got these scars? Like, uh, yeah, doing like the raid in this would be very fun.
yeah, yeah, totally. How do I get the scars? Or like, just why do you care? Often I feel like the faux tender moments are actually the most tender. Just even though they're corny and maybe badly acted, but in classic like 80s 90s action movies, someone just confessing that they actually just really love a person, want revenge for it's kind of the most basic
My daughter, she's in
melodramatic
the
stuff.
hospital.
Yeah, yeah, it's like commedia dell'arte because they're not often these people were like wrestlers or whatever. They're not like actors, so it gives them something that any human can understand. And the
Yeah.
movie can be
Oh,
so silly that like just non silliness for like 5 seconds is it's a breath of fresh air. So
actually, I really like this actually of like grid chart as opposed to it can be anywhere from previous wounds to sincere motivations.
yeah, yeah. I wonder
Like, how
if
do you power through this? Is like I think through some character backstory table.
you could do grit very differently. Like I like the points, and it's a pool of points that goes up and down, but I don't mind it. But I do think you could do it as just more dice. Like you have your dice, and then the grit dice are ones that you exhaust. And like say you only can use if it's per session maybe or per scene, but like per session's really simple. It's like when you use your D20 grit die, you don't have to. There's nothing to keep track of other than you check a box. You can't use it again this session,
That's
and
true. You
that's
could
your
just do it
big
as like individual points as opposed to
yeah,
like
and then you're adding those two things, but it's not a lot to add, and you don't have to keep track of a lot. You're just like, yep, I that my blue like my emotional wad like that. My emotional moment that was a thing that happened, right?
yeah, no,
And
that's
that
interesting.
character
As
doesn't get the
like
spotlighting in that same way this session. In a campaign they might, but
or and as they take damage, you could refill it.
yeah, maybe there's triggers actually because a token based thing like you check it off, but then you can erase that or whatever if
The
something
the thing to always
if
ask
you get
is
hurt.
what interaction are you trying to motivate? So like I want these characters to drive them like they stole them. Like I want my players to drive these characters like they stole them. I want them to be like but and if I can motivate if you get like hit in a really dramatic way, that gives you another chance to roll your d20. Why
Yeah.
would you not?
I love this game. I think it would work really well to do wounds, and then whenever you take a wound, you get back you get
Yeah.
back grit. Whether grit is there's different levels of grit, or grit is just like this bomb of a d20 or whatever it is.
Oh,
I think that's a
maybe
fun kind of back and forth. Yeah.
maybe wounds lower one of your damage die or one of your stat dies. Uh I don't know,
Yeah.
like
There's a feedback loop there. Yeah.
yeah, where it's like which is what happens. But if you keep taking wounds where you keep replenishing your things, then like you're rolling 2d6, but you also get another d20. You can just add to the top of that, and then that makes your desperate actions feel really desperate.
Yeah, I will say if you're gonna have these, because usually like in our games, right, you're rolling a d6, d8, d10, or d12, and you're trying to get a 6 or better. If you're adding together two dice, not just for damage, like in Blister Critters, it's just damage, but in Danse Macabre. But in this game, if you're rolling them for the checks themselves and potentially adding up to a d20 of grit, you might want to consider. I guess you would just play around with the difficulties. You could just make the
Yeah, yeah.
difficulties
The difficulty
not
I said
six,
six because
right?
of yours, but like,
But it could be
but the thing
12
is,
or
it's
something.
got to start. The thing is, it should feel easy to deal with at the start,
Sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's 12, and you're like, shit. Okay, I have to pick harder for you know what I mean? Like almost or it's 15 and you're really thinking about your dice and you're like, this will fail. I can only get a 12.
Yeah. The weird thing that I'm thinking of now is to me one of the things about the grid system that works really well is the sense of exhaustion that players face where they have to choose how to burn points, and they have to most people do save up toward the end of the session and then kind of go wild. But then often if they're done, if there's a penultimate scene, someone burns all their grit and they can't really boost checks after that, and they don't have, if they're in the middle of combat and they're not the fighter type of character, right? Then they're kind of running away, and that's again like that's a trope in movies. That's realistic. it's not unfun. It's something for players to manage. And I think what might happen here is if you don't degrade the grit die that they get or whatever, limit that, then yes, they're losing wounds, but they like keep doing epic things, which is actually really cool and does feel action movie-y and different from the main system. But it's still using kind of that insight about giving players their own tool to change the outcome of the roll, you know? So I think it might be an interesting feedback loop that goes in kind of a different direction. Instead of exhaustion, it militates toward like, you might have killed me, but I still am going to do this one last thing where I shoot you 1,000,000 times, you know, and I roll it.
Yeah. I just, with my last breath, I shoot 100 times, and I have my D20, and then the D20 I'm not supposed to have that I've done from my bonus moves from taking so many wounds. And I roll 4 dice at you, and it's like I'm Clive Owen, you know, like shooting bullets through his fingers or whatever.
Or whatever that Miike Takahashi movie where the guy just pulls the rocket launcher out of his bag, and like there's no way it would have, like, it doesn't make sense. He's in a
exactly, yeah.
But that's the feeling of the end of the movie is like, well, fuck you.
That's what that's what I'm going for. And then the other thing I was trying to figure out, that this is the only, actually thinking Agon does this as they're like calling the name. And I was thinking a theme thing, but I think I might just do that through the grit. Like based on your backstory, you're theming like for your character. If because every one of those characters has themes, but they're different types. There's like the professional assassins. Then there are like the guys who have relevant skills, like who are just like, I'm a swamp hunter with a crossbow, but fucking 10 grand is 10 grand. I'll show up. Or like the teams. There's always the team of people. And so like I guess that would be the way to do it, is like just have like a couple grit tables of like, in order to spend grit, you have to roll on this table and talk about something from your past.
Yeah, roll on it, or cross off, like maybe it is like you could
you have to give
6x6 like matrix, and like you can only use, so like it's limited both by, you know, you're gonna run out and then you almost have to take bullets to get the grit back, but also whenever you're doing this, you're doing the short flashback or explanation of your feelings, and there's only so many like dimensions or tropes that you can rely on, so you can like add whatever color you want, but in terms of mechanically, in terms of the narrative, not mechanically in terms of dice, there's only so many ways that you can like matter to the story, you know? So I think that's actually an interesting way to also keep it a little bit constrained, if you want it.
But it makes it, again, like if you're a team, let's just say you're a team of guys, and then like slowly they start dying as you pick up wounds. That's like how so there's one of you left. And so as you're going through the backstory, it's like you have these moments with these people who have now passed away, which could get unexpectedly silly or touching in a different way.
Right.
Because as you're like, I remember how they taught me how to build this other bomb.
Yeah, or like we were gonna open a food truck together, but then that guy got his head blown off, you know? So it's like, I think there's lots of ways there's lots of ways to do.
Not tacos, el chicken.
No, you know exactly what you're aiming to do with the system, and I definitely think, you know, inspiration from a John Harper book, like, yeah, we'll take that. But yeah, this is great.
Mr. Softy as an evil,
as an ultimate villain.
I mean, that's what's it called? That's fucking what's his name from Twisted Metal. Yeah,
that is also a minor trope. There's a character in Brawl Stars.
But also, Twisted Metal is exactly what this game is like. What happens when you're in the non-car parts of Twisted Metal? You do a boom boom shoot up the roof of Twisted Metal.
Yeah, I do know Twisted Metal, and I do know what you mean. I mean, this is. I like the idea of a group of badasses doing a mission that is dangerous and not taking itself seriously, although I like, you know, one could argue that like epic sci-fi is usually a group of badasses doing a dangerous mission or whatever, but it's taking itself seriously to discuss kind of, I would argue, social themes through, you know, talking about emerging technologies and like, you know, whatever the future. This game would be doing something very different with that same idea of group of badasses. And I think playing around with the basic grit and actually eliminating points and like keeping track of points, it's just dice, what dice you're rolling.
Yeah,
dice. That feels like a fun way to sort of, you know, get at like, ooh, I'm doing a math rock attacky thing. Like it feels like it somehow matches the brief in terms of combat.
And it's people rolling anywhere from like 2 to like 5 dice over and over at each other in a way that like will get silly. But that's also, this is the thing. This is like kind of, this has been bouncing around in my head. And then we were going to talk and I was like, wait. And then I read more of the grit stuff. And I was like, this actually functions way better for what I'm trying to do in terms of like hitting those two spots.
Well, we aim to please
nicely.
And yeah, again, I do think this would be fun. Maybe again, we can build the series can be not only Road Warriors, but like if this game emerges as a thing, we can again keep.
Buddy, I've got so many games we could look at. We got Weebs, we play as French ninjas.
Absolutely. And yeah, and of course, right now, if you go to Don't Go Broke Games Itch, you can get Hot Doctor Hospital and Beverage Goblins, both of which are fun and also fun to say.
I was like, oh yeah, Hot Doctor Hospital.
Yeah. So I think we have to wrap it up. But I mean, is there more?
Yes.
Is there more that anything else you want to shout out?
No.
Anything we haven't covered?
No. This is follow us on Instagram, dgb.games. I'm at DPIC Comedy. I have an hour special online where I look completely different than this. If you want to see me do stand up, it's on my Instagram, and Goblin King Comedy on YouTube. And I'm around. If you're in New York, I have a bunch of shows. Come see me. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Goblin King, David Piccolomini, and one part of the broader Don't Go Broke Games network of TTRPG creators and generally badasses.
The broader network of TTRPG creators trying not to go broke.
Yeah. Like a few people who live near each other and hang out in Brooklyn or whatever. Yeah, I mean it's how most it's how these companies start, right? So, and basically, thanks a lot as always to Vex in the chat and anybody who's watching this in the future. We will have if you are watching
Vex,
it soon,
very funny.
Then next week or whatever, we're gonna have the Road Warriors crew to play Road Warriors through an official Why We Roll AP. And then we'll have you all back on in September to talk about your work when the crowdfunder is live.
Yeah. We actually need the money.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, David. Really appreciate it. It's always fun. And
thank you for having me, buddy.
We'll do it again soon. All right. I'm going to click end stream. Bye.